Hey there, Speaker fam. Welcome to the Speak Organized podcast. This is part 2 of my interview with Julie Brooks, all about hiring employees to scale your business while also scaling up your free time. If you didn't have a chance to catch part 1 of this episode, I highly encourage you to go back and check it out before moving on to this one. All of our conversation will make a lot more sense if you have part 1 under your belt. So be sure to go and check that one out first. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Speak Organized podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Summers, professional organizer, decluttering expert, and productivity-based life coach. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor, however you're here today, look at the screen of your device and tap that little subscribe button. It would be such an honor to have you as a member of the Speaker fam. And don't forget, if you love this episode, to give it a thumbs up and tap that little notification bell so that when I post new content each week, you're notified and in the loop to keep up on all things organizing, business, and productivity. Don't forget to follow along with all the antics on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. My handle is @ISpeakOrganized, and I would love to hang out with you there as well. We're going to keep this intro short and sweet so we can dive right into the rest of the conversation. Most of you tuning in know about all the special offers through iSpeakOrganized. Be sure to check out all the resources down below in the description and the podcast show notes so you can book your one-on-one coaching call with me. As you know, it's super affordable and very well worth the time and money spent. So definitely get on my calendar before it books up for the month. Check out my social media method class. You can learn more about that in part 1 of this video, as well as my Pro Organizer Forms pack for those of you who are ready to start getting paying clients in the door faster. I have all my special forms designed specifically for our industry to help you do just that and more. So be sure to check out all those goodies in the description, or you can catch all the details in part 1 of this interview. Yeah, and so just to kind of continue on that sort of need for inner serenity and peace in your life, one of the things that I always like to tell people is that you can always make more money, but not more time. And so how do you kind of keep your time as a business owner at the forefront of your process with your employees and also for yourself? Like, how do you sort of, I guess, work on your time management?
So I don't work as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of startup phase. Maybe I'm still in it. I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'm
probably not. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm out of startup phase. So I have an operations manager named Karen, who's wonderful. She's my right-hand person. I have some senior lead organizers that, are capable of project management.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a goal that I have my trepidations too about things. Like I have a goal. I'd like to hire somebody for doing all the sales, the sales. I'm the rainmaker right now. I don't necessarily mind that rule, but I think if I had some help, it would be better. We could sell more, but it's just really hard. It's the struggle that I've had is documenting that process.
Mm-hmm.
Business growth and scale is all about documenting your processes. A lot of owners are like, I don't want to sit down and write down all the steps that I do. It's just kind of this magic thing that I do. So I honestly, I'm at that point now with sales. So yeah. I can sales my whole entire life. I can do it easily. I mean, that's not a problem. But so at this point, I've got all my systems set up for like sales and marketing, and it's not a hugely time consuming thing for me to do this.
Sure.
So I'm in a pretty good place right now.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like the absolute ultimate dream, and that, if you really lay the correct groundwork, and I think the key word from today's episode is systemization for sure, that I call it templating stuff, where you just have a plug and play structure that's very clear and easy for everybody to understand. And then it does all the work for you. That can be so, so powerful.
If you think about, Melanie, if you didn't have to be on the job site for 6 to 8 hours a day,
right?
Like the rest of the stuff for running a business doesn't take all that long if you have good systems in place.
True. Yeah. And I just also think about the physical nature of our job, which we talked about a little bit earlier, but I do want to reiterate because This is something that I talk to coaching clients about all the time. I'm on the younger side. I go to the gym 5 days a week. And if I did not do that, if I wasn't lifting weights and working on my cardiovascular strength, there is no way that I would be able to be on my feet, huffing stuff from attic to basement for
Yeah.
several hours by myself if I didn't do that, because it is a very physically demanding job and we're not vanity displaying most of the time, like vanity displaying, like the home edit style of organizing, that luxury organizing is like it may be once or twice a year. Literally, I will get a job like that. But even in those moments, it's not just that. That's like probably 0.5% of the job. You know what I mean?
I do. I like lifting weights too. So I would find it's also, for me, it's pretty emotionally draining too. Like working on a job, for me, it was emotionally draining, physically draining, and that's fine. It's fine to be tired at the end of the day. I mean, there were some days I'd come home, I had to just do dog therapy on the couch with the dog to just get my head straight again.
Yeah.
Because it was like a difficult client. And then I'm supposed to like go on and like do payroll and do, I have to like classify all these transactions in QuickBooks.
Right.
And then I got to like send in this business license thing. I mean, all this like blah stuff that it's not fun to do.
Yeah.
So imagine all that other business management stuff if you could do that when you're fresh as a daisy first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do.
Yes.
And I don't have, you know what I mean? Instead of at 9:00 at night after you put your kids to bed when you're tired, and it's going to take you 3 times as long to get it done because you're tired.
Right.
You worked organizing all day and then did your mom's shift. Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so this is also a great way to continue to work in this industry past the point where you are able or willing, in most cases, to do all that physical work. So, getting kind of back to your business for Peaceful Place Home Organizers, what are you kind of hoping to achieve in your business for 2023? What's on the goal docket?
I want to increase sales by 25%.
Nice.
I want to actually do a photo organizing job for somebody, which we haven't done yet. I want to, just keep doing more of what I'm doing. And I would like to hire somebody to do sales.
Fantastic. Yeah. And so I don't know if maybe you want to talk about this kind of towards the end a little bit more, but you actually train other professional organizers if they talk to you about trying to learn how to systematize and set up teams. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I do coaching for professional organizers that want to grow, build, and maintain teams. So it's an hourly rate. Anybody can reach out to me on my website, peacefulplaceorganizers.com, and it's an hourly rate. And basically, I kind of break it down to different phases, and a lot of it will have to do with looking at the competitive environments that they're operating in. Like, I'm going to Google them and see where do they come up on searches, who are the competitors, what's their niche, what's their lifestyle like, what are their goals. So if so, all right, yeah, you could probably use 2 employees. And here's the best way to go about getting them. And it also includes like a job. You can use my job ad. You can use my training deck. You can use like a lot of my contract. All the documentation comes with the coaching. Then when you start to grow more, like how do you get all the supplies from one, do you order ahead of time, and all those sort of on the ground logistics, which I've, figured out a system that works in my area for my business. Doesn't work. May not work in another area, but so yeah, I'm happy to guide people with those challenges.
That's fantastic. Cool. So just to kind of give people a taste, this works out perfectly because I'm cheating and looking at my notes and I skipped a question. So I want to just have you touch briefly on your go-to strategies for differentiating your business from the competition to find the right leads.
Okay. So I get leads from all different sources. Number one is my search engine optimization, just making sure that I'm coming up really, really, really high in organic search and also the Google My Business, the map listings.
Right.
That's my number one. Those leads are qualified. Those people are looking for organizing.
Yes.
Number two is I buy leads from Thumbtack and Angie's List. That's another really big source for me. It's an expense. I understand that. Findmyorganizer.com. I mean, whatever. I'm kind of ambivalent about them. They're like not that great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better in some areas than others. It's not that great in my area.
Sure.
So what's the market differentiator? One, especially in the Cape Cod area, there's like really no other organizer that has a team. So when you have a team, guess what? Our clients are disorganized and they don't plan ahead. They need somebody in 3 days because the moving truck is coming on Thursday and they thought they could pack it all and they can't. Right. So that's why I was motivated, Melanie, to even hire a team, because I'm so sales oriented that I was working as a solo. I was pretty good. People kept booking me to do their whole house, just like you. Right. And I was like booked out for 3 weeks or something. And then I got a call and I couldn't do the job because the guy needed me like next week. And I said, that is never happening again. I lost the sale because I don't have enough people. I don't have any people working for me. So that's right then and there. I said, that's never going to happen to me again. That's why I hired a team. So I don't really have a market differentiator other than like we're willing to do almost any kind of job for anybody, anywhere, at any time, doing anything. I mean, I've got really low standards, like really, really low standards. And because I have to keep my team busy, right? If I'm not giving them enough work, they're not going to stay with me. And so I just have to, doing the hustle 24/7 that's why I need some help with that. But I wouldn't say there's really any market differentiator because I don't really have a niche.
Because you serve everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and when you have such a large team, you can't be too choosy with those things. Not everybody's going to need a photo organizing session. It's everybody's got too much stuff. And so there, of course, there's a lot of decluttering, junk removal, downsizing, somebody died, all these things. That's like the real life of most organizing companies is stuff like that. So yeah, I can totally understand that.
One thing that I love about the setup I have now is that I can get away from Angie's List or whatever, or they just call me out of the blue, whatever. They could be an hour and a half away from where I live. Okay. They maybe need 2 rooms done, 1 room done. I'm not going to drive there and do an on-site consultation at all. I charge for my consultations, but I'm not in the business of doing $125 consultations. That's not what my business is.
Right.
That's just eliminates tire kickers. That's the only reason I charge for it. So they will text me pictures. This is just kind of evolved and it works really well for me. They text me pictures. Based on the pictures, I give them an estimate with caveats, and then book. I mean, during the pandemic and in the aftermath, when everything was Zoom, I would hire organizers that I had never met in person. Of course, I saw them on Zoom, but I never met them in person. I trained them on Zoom. I would send them to clients' houses that I had never been to, but I talked to the clients on the phone though, and I saw pictures. And a lot of organizers would just freak out at the level of not control that appears to have. But you know what? It works.
Yeah.
How bad is it going to be? What are they going to do? Go up there and mess it up? The clients are going to be pleased. It works out.
Right. Well, you clearly have a system that works really well.
Yeah.
Whatever machine, Julie, that you have built seems to work very, very well. And so I really hope that people take you up on the offer to do some consulting if they're considering this, because it does sound crazy and scary to not meet somebody in person, either client or employee, and then send them all out to go live happily ever after in organizing bliss. But you are telling us that it works.
Yeah. I mean, on any given day, I have, say in our 6 months out of the year when we're super busy versus busy, but not super busy, the other 6 months out of the year. So in a busy season, I'll have 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 jobs going on every day, 7 days a week.
Wow. Yeah.
And so you can't be this control freak 2023 and do that.
Yep. I love it. I
And you
totally agree.
also, I always tell people, you just have to get over yourself. Like, I'm not that great. My organizers are way nicer than I am. They're way better at what they do. And who's working on the job sites? They are. I'm not.
Right.
So I just have to trust that they're going to do the right thing. And they do almost every time. There's just almost no problems with it. So I think a lot of times the fear that organizers have, it's all from up here. Like in reality, it works out.
Yeah, it's
Right.
that need for control. I totally agree. You have to just kind of release the reins. People don't perform well when they feel like they're being micromanaged either. I've worked for micromanaging bosses before, and it just, you second guess yourself and then you screw things up that you wouldn't normally screw up. And it's just all around just a very toxic situation. So clearly you're just a really awesome boss.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, but what all that matters is what is the customer experience. So if it's the first time an organizer is working at a client, if it's, the first time we worked at a client's house, I always text them immediately right after the job's over saying, I'm just wondering if you had any feedback on Marianne and Debbie's work. I saw the pictures. It looked like a lot was accomplished, but I just wanted to make sure you were pleased. And then they 99.9% of the time rave over how great the services were. And so that's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are they pleased and do they pay? Yes and yes. What's the problem? Move on.
Yeah, on to the next job because there's a lot of people that need our help. So in sort of just working on the mentality, the mindset for folks who are looking to get into this industry because it is growing very rapidly, as you and I both know. We experience working with coaching clients all the time. What are your top 3 real talk pieces of advice for anyone looking to start a professional organizing business?
Okay, I would say if you're in sort of an already crowded marketplace where there's already a lot of organizers, and especially if it's in a more urban area where you have a lot of people, you may want to consider niching down and specializing into like paperwork or digital or photo organizing, especially if you're not too physically, able to do all the garages and basements, right? So you may want to niche down, number one. Let's see. Number 2 is you have to be, the way that you learn how this is done is you have to do what I did at the beginning, and I'm sure what you did, any successful organizer. And that is that you have to be willing to do it, of course, right? People think they want to do this,
right?
But the reality of it is it's dirty garages and people don't get rid of as much as you think they should. I mean, that's the reality of this job. So you have to be willing to do anything for any client at any time, anywhere. I mean, with common sense restrictions in place, but like you've really got to be willing to do that. That's how you learn how to deal with difficult people, easy jobs, difficult jobs. And I would say the third piece is to really ask yourself some serious questions. Would you be better off working as an employee on an organizing team that somebody else owns, or do you want to be a team owner yourself? Because not everybody has the business ownership skills, and especially where that comes in is making the deals with clients and enforcing your boundaries. That's what business owners do. And a lot of people are putting up their shingles saying they want to be an organizer, and really they'd be better off working for an organizing team like what I have.
Right.
Because some of my organizers that work a lot of hours, they make, like, I'm telling you, a pretty good living, Melanie.
Yeah.
And they don't have to come home and they don't have to meet with a CPA like I do. They don't have to like haggle with a client over this or that, right? They just show up, go to the job site, do what they love doing, and go home. Right. Not everybody needs to be, just because you're a professional organizer doesn't mean you need to own your own business. Yeah. So you have to think about, and then also if you do choose to own your own business, if you're a solo organizer, I mean, and for some types of organizing, this is appropriate, but it's really not a business. It's more like a therapeutic practice. So if somebody's a therapist or they say they have, that they run a practice, not a business.
Interesting.
Right. And that's fine. But therapeutic practices they have a pretty definite ceiling as to how much money they can make because you're only selling your time.
Right.
And there's only so much time you have.
Right.
If you decide you want to make more money and scale up, and one reason why I scaled up wasn't just because to, make more money, but it was because I really did believe and still do in the amazing transformational quality of the service we bring. And Julie can only help so many people, so many clients in a week.
Right.
This way we can help 10 times as many people.
Right.
Right. If you're willing to make that jump to being a team owner, it's okay to do it because you want more money. That's one reason, but it's also okay to do it because you can really spread the joy of organizing to so many more people if it's not just you doing it. So, you kind of have to ask yourself some hard questions about what you're willing to do and what your goals are. Instead of struggling along. I see people who are great organizers, but poor business owners, and they just end up closing their business because they can't do the business ownership parts of it. And they really should have just worked for a team owner the whole time.
Right. Yeah, that is just so well said, all of it, and very, very important because being a business owner is completely separate from organizing. And it still blows my mind how many folks haven't connected those two dots together because it never stops. You are always on doing something like you've talked about throughout today's episode, all of the things that happen in the background and the back end, not just the forward facing in the customer space. There's so much that goes into it that you have to be ready for. You have to have discipline. You have to have a little bit of faith that things are going to get better when they dip. People get really, really freaked out and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm failing, I'm out, because there's that sense of the need for control over the whole process. And that's another piece of it that I think is important to let go of is the control of the marketplace because it does ebb and flow quite a bit. So you can't freak out about every little, thing that's going to go wrong.
I freak out like any other business owner.
Sure.
I freak out. And then, really, I probably don't freak out as much as other people. I've been around the block a few times.
Sure.
Not my first rodeo, but whenever there's a little dip and, a decline in incoming leads, I get a little nervous. But then just when I'm about to truly have a freak out, guess what? The phone rings and there's a giant mess on the other end of the shop, right?
Right.
Just every time. And the more established you are, the more repeat business you're going to get from clients who, guess what? Somebody just died or they're going to put their house on the market. And they're addicted to organizing because anybody who uses it one time gets addicted and they're never going to do it themselves again. It's like house cleaning. I mean, those people who, put the martyrs cap on, even though they could afford it and didn't hire a house cleaner. Once they get a house cleaner one time, I'll tell you right now, I'll sell my plasma before I'm going to clean my toilets again.
Right.
Like, no way. Organizing's like that.
Yep. So I love my house cleaner. Are you kidding me? She's the best.
There's no way about it. I'll skip meals. I'd rather have my house clean than eat. Honest to God, that's how much I hate it. But the reason why I'm so big on certain people elevating their business to become team owners is because a lot of people who start out as organizers, there aren't any other organizers who have teams for them to work for. So they have no choice but to go into business for themselves. And they struggle and then they end up dropping out. And they could have been a really great organizer using their skills and talents to help people if they just had somebody to work for. And that's why if we can make more people who are ready to make this jump into team owners, it's really going to make the profession much stronger. And I also feel that the direction of the industry is going towards favoring team owners because team owners can do more work. They can respond to people more quickly. They have more marketing power to sort of dominate the search engine listings and get the paid leads. That's what I'm intending to do. I want to get as much business as I can in my area.
Right.
And, I think there's always going to be a niche and a need for solo organizers because some clients, they just really want to work with the same person and only in 2 or 3 hour segments and all these kind of, criteria that don't really work with my system.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, but I totally agree. I think that, as people are starting to live longer and accumulate more stuff, we're kind of in that age wave crisis where baby boomers
yeah.
who are consumers have a lot of stuff and people need help. More people need help. And so I think
Mhm.
that building up the decluttering and organizing enthusiast army is going to be of the utmost importance moving
Totally.
forward. It's
I
totally a
mean,
no-brainer.
are people getting younger, healthier, and getting less stuff? No,
No.
no. They're only getting older, less able, and accumulating more stuff. And I
Yes.
suppose if there's this wave of minimalism among, Gen Zers and everything, which I think is a good thing for the planet and people's mental health in general.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? I'm going to be like 95 years old by the time that would affect my business. So it doesn't matter to me. But
Right.
like,
Something else will evolve at that point.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. So
before you get to being 95, you've got a lot of business left in you. So, kind of to wrap up, I want to
mhm.
know how we can easily connect with you, Julie. How can we find you? Give us all your socials. Let us know if you have any courses. We already kind of talked a little bit about your consulting work that you do for business owners, but how do we stay in touch with you, Julie?
So my website is peacefulplaceorganizers.com. My socials are at Peaceful Place Organizer on Insta and Facebook. So when you go on my website, just go to the contact us page. There's like an inquiry form. What kind of coaching is a relationship is appropriate really depends on what stage you are in your business. But I'll do a free introductory 30-minute phone or Zoom call just to see if there's any way that we can work together. And then I just lay out a plan. And yeah, it's been really fun helping other organizers get the confidence they need to get employees. And it's really been life changing for them. I'd help people like you who have young children, and it's really transformed their life, not having to be on a job site every day.
Mhm.
Um, and I say, look, if you want to live like I do and have people out working for you, making you money while you're still doing great work for all your clients, and you're working at your desk at home, not as many hours as you used to.
Mhm.
I mean, what's not to love, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes people just need, I think, confidence and knowledge and a system to get them there so they're not just like, feeling their way around in the dark.
Right.
But one of the things from having, owned a business for 20 years, but that I sold before I even started this, and I always had employees there. So to me, it was like no big deal to hire employees, but I understand that's a big mental barrier for a lot of people if they
Right.
haven't had that experience.
Right. Yeah. And it does really pay to invest in training from somebody who has done it. I always advocate for that. Getting
Yeah.
education, networking with the right people, investing in yourself is always a good thing. Don't always try to do everything yourself and try to do it
No,
for free. It drives me crazy. So that is
no.
why I have this podcast and bring people like you on so that our community knows that Julie is a resource out here. So with that, Julie, I just want to thank you again for coming on the show today. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I want to make sure to put all of your information down in the show notes today so that people can get in touch with you and grow the decluttering and organizing enthusiast army that we all need.
I like that term. Yeah. So when are you going to hire your first employee, Melanie? I want you to do that soon.
Well, it's so funny because I have had people reach out to me through this podcast and through the YouTube channel over the last year or so that live in my area and they want to shadow and I want to help them. So I'm probably going to have to give you a call first and sit on a few sessions to brainstorm some ideas, but that's what you got to do. So that's when that will
Right.
happen. How about that?
Okay. Well, good. Good. Keep me posted. Keep me posted. A year from now, I want you to have a small team at least, right?
Yes, ma'am. Well, we'll stay in touch for sure. And we'll see how we were able to help each other out and how you were able to help me grow and help some other people in my community as well. So
All right, Melanie. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you, Julie. All right, folks, thanks again for sticking around. That's going to wrap up another fabulous episode of the Speak Organized podcast. I hope that you got so much value out of it. I encourage you that if you are thinking about taking the leap and becoming the boss of your organizing business and hiring some employees, to get in touch with Julie for a consultation session. We had a chance to talk for a little bit afterwards about what that process looks like. And she's just such a fabulous resource. And she also invests in coaching for her own business for the stage that she is at to help provide some of that top level knowledge and expertise to the rest of her coaching clients as well. So I'll make sure to link all her information. It's going to be down in the description. Get in touch with her. As always, if you are starting that business and you want to have a chat with me, get on my schedule before all my slots are gone for the month of March. I would be honored to sit with you and strategize as well. Don't forget to check all of the resources out down in the description and join that free Facebook group. I would love to have you as a member in there as well. And beyond that, I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.